This pilot's flying along, and boom, his glider disappears. Pause. Do you know how to handle this? Do you know how to prevent it and recover from it? Today, I'm going to teach you all about that. Ready? Here we go.
See ya.
Hey, what's up? This is Ari in the Air. Welcome back to the channel. Stoked you're here. If you're new here, welcome. I teach high-level paragliding with emotional intelligence and relationship skill. I founded the Paragliding Men's Group to help smart men have badass relationships with women who support them and their paragliding. If you're ready to end the distance and reactivity in your relationship and get what you really want, click the link in the description below. It's the last week to apply, so now's your chance. Okay, so let's get into this video here. This was sent in by a viewer. His name is Camilo, and this is Iquique. It's one of my favorite places I've ever been paragliding. A wonderful place to fly, northern Chile in the Atacama Desert. Okay, so I'm going to play it for you once, and then I'll go back and break it down for you. Okay, he's flying along. He's on the speed bar. He's pushing around this ridge. 80% frontal, shoots, small collapse. Woo-ha. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. He is flying a high B from Skywalk, and as you can see, he's on full speed here. Paused here. You see about 80% of the span goes. Okay, so if we go back, what do we notice before it happens? So if we're looking at this bottom left, we know the left side of the glider collapses. So we're looking at his left riser, his left hand. We're looking for indications that he tried to prevent the collapse. Okay, and so right here you see that this is like the moment of inception for this collapse. And you see that his left hand has pulled the C riser back towards him. It's like kind of flat back towards him. And if we continue scrubbing forward, you see now he's looking up. The C riser is not deflected at all. And the glider collapses. It's hard to tell exactly because we can't see his hands through the duration of this collapse. This could be one of those instances where he actually pulls the rear to check a little bump, and then he actually lets up on the rear riser, and that's what causes the collapse. We're not totally sure. So I'll just give you some baseline things to really remember if you're flying on the speed bar on a three-liner like this. This is a modern three-liner. It has a BC bridge, meaning that when you pull down on the C riser when you're on the speed bar, it will then engage the B riser. It works really well to control the glider while you're flying on speed bar. What you have to know is that when you're on a three-liner, the pressure for pulling down on the rear risers can be quite high when you're trying to catch a collapse. So the practical tip that I want to give you here is that basically if you look at the riser configuration, basically you've got the A's, B's, and C's, and you're holding on to the C riser. When you go to make a input on the C riser, you have a couple of options. One, you can just twist your hands back and you can pull only on the C riser. Okay. This is basically how we flew on speed bar before BC bridges on three-liners, and it works. You can do that. But note that the bottom of the C riser is actually captive to the B riser here, so you're not going to be able to pull that much C riser without affecting the B. So there is an option for you to just kind of twist your wrists, and you'll be able to change the profile ever so slightly, but it will not be an authoritative input on the glider. What you really want to do here is as you pull on the risers, you don't want to pull back too much. You actually just want to pull straight down. When you pull down on the C riser, it is going to engage on the B riser and begin to pull the B riser down. This is what really changes the angle of attack dramatically. So as Camilo sent this video in and I asked him what he thought he did wrong, and he thought, oh, maybe I'm flying in full speed in a place where there might be turbulence and I shouldn't have been doing that. And I said, well, what else? Because that's kind of not the full story. Like, I feel like I could fly in full speed right here, and I feel confident I can keep this glider open, flying in full speed. So then he said, oh, actually, I should have pulled harder on the rear risers when I knew that there was some kind of turbulence happening. And correct. So if we look here, we're watching again this left riser. He pulls down on the C riser, but he does not pull so hard that it affects the B riser. And one of the things that I want to leave you with today is that everything that you are ever going to learn, there's going to be a progression. So as you learn to fly on speed bar, you're going to want to trade safety for performance. So he's on full speed right here, and he's flying into headwind, and he's near terrain. So all of those things should have your hackles up and have you fully alert of what's going on and very in tune and sensitive for pulling on the rear risers. When you pull on the rear risers when you're on speed, all that it costs you is speed. It costs you efficiency. And so pulling really hard on those rear risers when you have even a little bump of turbulence is a good practice. Get used to really engaging the glider and make sure that it's staying open. Anytime that you're taking a collapse, you know that you're either flying too fast. Well, you're definitely flying too fast, and you need to either use less speed bar or pull on the rear risers more. And in this case, he needs to pull them down harder and for longer, right? And be careful of when you let those things up. So it's a great idea to really get used to using the full range of these systems. So instead of just getting yourself into cross-country situations without being really familiar with how these things work and how much range you have on them, I recommend going out to like on your soaring evening and pushing 2/3 speed and then really articulating these systems and really feel what it's like to fully engage these various pulley systems that are on the modern gliders, just so that you know what it feels like, what direction. There's differences between pulling back on the risers than pulling down on the risers. There's differences with twisting your hands versus keeping your hands vertically and pulling them straight down. You can do a combination of both. There's all kinds of ways to do these things, and you're going to, by the time you're really deep into your paragliding career, you're going to have all kinds of different ways to touch the glider, and it's important that you're very familiar with it. So in this instance, more rear riser input, harder and for longer, okay? Also, if we scrub forward, we see that the glider collapses and then it shoots, right? There's really not much brake input here. Obviously, if your glider collapses, come off the speed bar immediately. On a glider like this, you can, especially if you're not super versed in collapses, you can go hands up, and that's probably your best bet on B gliders. As the glider re-inflates here, you see it shoots and it collapses again. Right? It shoots here and it takes a small frontal. Honestly, that is just part of the collapse recovery for this one. If you can get onto those brakes sooner and more assertively, you can stop that second small collapse happening. But as you see here, it's pretty benign and doesn't really affect his flight at all. So thanks so much for sending this in. Like I said, the Paragliding Men's Group is just about to start its 4th cohort, and we have a couple of spots left. If you've ever experienced any kind of people-pleasing tendencies, going along to get along, withholding your truth, avoiding conflicts in your relationships and have had them blow up because of that, and you'd like to find yourself in a really stable, very committed relationship, then consider applying for the Paragliding Men's Group. Link is in the description below. Doors are closing soon. Now's your chance. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.